Disturbing revelation on one of the state's worst coronavirus clusters tonight. Revealing interview. The Anglicare boss admits to infection control breaches at Newmarch House. Plus, a rescue option for virus-free residents. Plans to scrap stamp duty. Big news on a multi-billion-dollar government deal to turbocharge the property market. The China dossier. International pressure builds for an investigation into that country's handling of the pandemic. Saturday Night Live face-to-face visits. Sydney celebrates the first weekend of relaxed restrictions. California screaming. Protesters storm the streets demanding no more lockdowns as infection rates climb. And takeoff. The Warriors given the green light to take flight and train in Tamworth while Nathan Cleary is in more hot water.
Live from Sydney, 7 News with Michael Usher.
Good evening. The boss of Anglicare admits infection controls have failed at Newmarch House, where more than a dozen elderly residents have died in the deadliest COVID cluster after the Ruby Princess. 2 more staff have now tested positive as fears grow of a second wave of cases. But only now, weeks in, is a plan developing to get residents who've tested negative out.
A shrine to the 13 lost sits at the gates of Newmarch House, and an admission that the measures in place to stop the spread inside simply aren't working.
On the surface, looks like there's been breaches in infection control amongst particularly the staff.
But individuals will still make mistakes. I mean, there was... Anyway, I'd rather not go into blaming individuals.
New South Wales Health overnight sending in its own specialist team to work out why, despite containment, more staff and residents are falling ill after another 2 cases in the past 24 hours. The findings: human error is to blame.
It is clear that COVID-19 is not being contained within Newmarch House and is in fact out of control.
Today, the Anglicare CEO admitted as much.
It would seem that's fairly obvious that there have been failings. I mean, the use of PPE is foreign to a lot of people. Revealing
to 7 News they're negotiating with families to take loved ones out of Newmarch.
Is there a point at which you say, OK, it's time to get some of these residents out?
It's small numbers to date that we've had discussions, and this is something that we're going to raise with our residents in our communication shortly.
The state government confirming it won't stand in the way.
They can choose at any stage to leave the village and go somewhere else.
Meanwhile, from tomorrow, rapid test kits will become available for select cases, with results in as little as 2 hours.
Where there's a suspected outbreak at an aged care facility or any facility, prisons, etc., that would be a really valuable use of the product.
And Cameron Price is at State Parliament for us tonight. Cam, good evening to you. So what is the hold-up for those residents wanting to get out of Newmarch House?
Yeah, Michael, the biggest issue is government requirements for quarantine. Many of those residents require care, so going into a hotel simply isn't an option. Going out into the family home would require those families setting up isolation, getting protective equipment. That isn't easy. The other option is quarantining in a nearby hospital, and 7 News understands at least one healthy resident from Newmarch House has been given permission and has left to quarantine in hospital, and more will likely follow. Michael.
Cam, thank you for that. Cam Price on Macquarie Street. Well, stamp duty set to be stamped out in a bid to stimulate the housing market. A major government review will recommend dumping the tax in what would be a huge windfall for younger and older homeowners.
His job is to balance the books. Now he's rewriting the rules to cope with the biggest twist we've ever had in our state story.
We actually owe it to the men and women right across our state who have lost their jobs and closed their business to take our economy forward. We can't take pre-pandemic thinking into a post-pandemic world.
Stamp duty can make the difference for first home buyers and for empty nesters trying to downsize. Currently in New South Wales, home buyers who purchase a property for $680,000 have to pay $26,000 in stamp duty. In Victoria, the stamp duty would be $35,800, but in Queensland, on the same transaction, there's only $16,450 in stamp duty.
Stamp duty is a tax that limits the ability for people to sell and buy property. We are open to a real discussion about stamp duty and payroll tax.
After payroll tax, stamp duty is the largest source of state tax revenue, worth $7.5 billion a year. Revenue, the Treasurer says, can be made up with other broad tax reforms.
We need to open up opportunities, provide prosperity to turbocharge the New South Wales economy.
Industry experts say axing stamp duty and other fees could reduce the cost of buying a property from more than $50,000 to less than $10,000. It might be the quickest lever the government has to impact house sales, along with predictions that prices could plunge by up to 20%.
Prices are already compressed a little bit. They're softening about 5 to 10% depending on where you are.
The Treasurer is hopeful New South Wales can avoid a property crash by bouncing back after the lockdown. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison's call for an independent inquiry into the origins of COVID-19 is slowly gaining support overseas. Experts around the world believe the investigation is critical to avoid future pandemics, as China's accused of suppressing, even destroying evidence.
Rising, like the COVID death toll as it nears 250,000, demands for an inquiry into how the deadly pandemic first took hold.
I think this is for all of us important. I mean, for the whole world it is important.
The European Union's executive branch...
It's in all our own interest. I mean, this pandemic has caused so much damage.
...weighs in alongside Prime Minister Morrison's push for an investigation.
An entirely sensible suggestion.
...which has soured relations with trading giant China.
The primary purpose of doing that is to ensure that we understand the virus more, we understand the animal-human interface.
Sydney's Daily Telegraph claims a leaked dossier from unnamed Western governments makes the case against China's early handling of the pandemic. Vocal doctors apparently detained and condemned, virus samples allegedly moved or destroyed, social media and search engines censored. As well, questions over the time China took to warn the World Health Organization.
The Chinese assurances stopped the WHO from being as decisive and clear with the rest of the world.
Had the world been warned quickly?
It may even have been contained within Wuhan itself.
But others see the push for an inquiry now as an unseemly rush to judge China. Among them, philanthropist and mining billionaire Andrew Twiggy Forrest. He's hit back at those who accuse him of going out of his way to back Beijing.
I will crack on with helping my country, unapologetic to those who think racism or isolationism is a viable path for Australia.
Tim Lester, 7 News.
And more than 4 million Australians have now registered for the government's COVID-safe tracking app, with the number of downloads jumping by 600,000 in just 24 hours.
If people have been putting off downloading the app to the weekend when you've got more time, please do it today.
Greater uptake of the app is one of 4 conditions that health officials say need to be reached before restrictions can be really eased. Well, today looked quite different to recent weekends in Sydney with our eastern beaches reopened. Not even the chilly weather could keep keen surfers and swimmers away. Friends were able to once again make plans to meet, barbecues and small at-home dinners back on the menu.
Catching up with friends is making a comeback.
Hey. Good to finally see you. How are you, boys?
Relaxed restrictions that allow 2 adults to visit a household, allowing friends to socialise again.
It's been a while, but with technology, at least I get to see him on my phone.
Just 2 days ago, this small birthday party wouldn't have been allowed.
Had 2 friends over for a birthday dinner for my housemate, which is amazing because otherwise it would have been by ourselves. So it was really nice to just have people over again.
Bondi and Bronte beaches were originally set to close this weekend. Waverley Council instead rewarding surfers and swimmers who have been abiding by the rules.
Stoked. Yeah, it's awesome.
A bit of exercise out in the ocean on days like this, nothing but heavenly.
While it will take some time for weekends to look anything like they used to, getting back out there in the next few months is now an exciting prospect for grassroots sports clubs.
We're already starting to put plans in place, so we will be good to go.
The junior players at Padstow Hornets are itching to get back on the pitch.
It's been hard doing this because I'm missing my friends and my coach.
I hope it goes back, I really do.
The club committee getting organised to be ready to go the moment they're given the green light.
I hope for the kids that we can get out sooner rather than later. Also for the parents' sake, to get the kids out of the house.
Amber Laidler, 7 News.
The New Zealand Warriors will fly to Tamworth tomorrow with the warning there'll be no special treatment when they arrive, but they will be allowed to train and can't leave their facility for 14 days. The State Health Minister says the entire NRL restart is yet to receive his approval.
From his Auckland home this morning, Warriors CEO Cameron George finished plans for tomorrow's one-off international flight to Tamworth.
We're very comfortable and the players are equally as comfortable that everything's right now.
7 News obtained the letter from Border Force Commissioner Michael Outram to interim NRL CEO Andrew Abdo, clearing the Warriors for takeoff and as a risk to public health in Australia.
How that's going to work, I honestly don't know at this point. Well, I'm not giving them special treatment, that's for sure.
The Warriors have planned 14 days quarantine at the Mercure Hotel and training in strict isolation at Scully Park. Chairman Peter V'landys is adamant they have the green light to train, despite today's denials from New South Wales Health.
It's important that we don't show or be seen to show any different favouritism to one group over another.
We're leaving the country tomorrow to train and play, so maybe we're the only team in the competition, which will be good fun. We should win.
The North Queensland Cowboys were headed for Sydney before their government allowed travel to and from games.
My understanding is that we'll be playing home and away as well, which is something we're also very grateful for.
The Melbourne Storm are planning a week in the border town of Mulwala if Victoria doesn't allow training. All players will return for biosecurity education on Monday. They'll train from Tuesday if pay deals are complete.
I haven't heard the players use the word boycott.
But just when it was all getting clearer for the NRL.
There was a suggestion that they had approval from the Police Commissioner. Well, I think it's a long way short of approval.
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
From the 11th of May, public school students will begin returning to classrooms across the state. Each school is working out the best method, but as the lockdown eases, there's still a lot of uncertainty about safety for both students and teachers.
Like many parents, technology worker Joanna has been juggling working full-time from home and homeschooling her 2 kids.
It's been pretty testing. Yeah, pretty testing.
1 week down and 1 to go for term 2 before school students head back into the classroom, starting 1 day a week and building from there, with mixed reactions from students.
I personally quite enjoy it because I like the responsibility. We get given sheets saying you're going back 1 day and then the rest is online learning, so it's very confusing.
Some non-government schools have already returned students to the classroom.
There's an inconsistent way that this is being applied across the sectors and across the schools across New South Wales, and that concerns us.
Principals want Year 12 students prioritised, or they could fall behind.
We're doing the best that we can to make sure that we're minimising the disruption on them.
New South Wales is certainly leading the way in terms of making sure the kids know they can come back, parents know they can come back, but in a staged and sensible way.
And then there's concern among teachers as well. The Premier had flagged that there would be an increase in cleaning and sanitising in the classroom, but will the department be able to keep up? And there's social distancing measures that have to be adhered to between teachers and students and between each other. All going well, all students will be back in school full-time by the start of term 3, if not earlier. Samantha Brett, 7 News.
Hundreds of furious protesters have stormed a beachside suburb in Los Angeles, demanding the state reopen. Defying orders to stay home, they took aim at the California governor a day after he ordered more beaches be closed to crowds.
Huntington Beach, California, mid-pandemic.
Open our economy! You're in the sunshine, you're in fresh air, you're healthier than wearing a mask.
Crowds spill onto the road, restless, infuriated over business and beach shutdowns.
Hopefully it won't get to the point where we need to put down the signs and flags and pick up weapons, but that's what we have the Second Amendment for.
Inside this blue state rally, we meet Trump loyalists.
Are you concerned by the health risks of gathering together in a large group out here today?
No, not really. No, it's the sunshine, that kills the virus, I think.
And skeptics.
My children are not at risk because they have an immune system.
Would you give your children a coronavirus vaccine?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not ever.
Now the federal government's social distancing guidelines have lapsed. State governments like California are under pressure to ease restrictions, all while cases keep growing. More than 30 states are lifting restrictions over the weekend, including Texas, where restaurants and retailers are operating at 25% capacity. While in Washington,
we're going to be having some really incredible results.
And old drugs offering new hope. Antiviral medication remdesivir given emergency approval to help COVID patients.
That has really seemed to be the key to him coming around.
Early results suggest patients who took the drug improved 31% faster than those taking a placebo. In Los Angeles, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
North Korea's state-run media has published new photos of Kim Jong-un, claiming it's proof he's alive and well. The Supreme Leader was reportedly opening a fertiliser plant north of Pyongyang, the first time he's been seen in more than 20 days. There's been intense speculation on his health since he missed a celebration for his late grandfather, with reports circulating that he's gravely ill, even dead after heart surgery. The US President says he may speak to Kim this weekend.
Yeah, I'd rather not comment on it yet. Kim Jong-un will have something to say about it at the appropriate time.
Monitoring group suggests the photos appear to be real. Well, Sally Bowery joins us now. So good evening to you. The wind had a bit of a bite to it today.
It sure did, Michael. The wind chill factor meant temperatures on average felt around 8 degrees cooler than what the mercury actually said today. It was literally freezing across the ski resorts, with thick snow continuing to fall at Perisher. A further 40 centimetres today with blizzard conditions, winds gusting up to 117 kilometres an hour at the top of Thredbo. Still, they didn't stop people sliding down the mountain today, even though the resorts are far from officially open. For those of you not enjoying the big chill, the good news is winds will start to ease from the west late tonight as a low pressure system just moves out over the Tasman. Currently right now in Bondi, it's sitting on 13 degrees. It feels more like 5 degrees though. We are set to see temperatures soar into the high 20s again. I'll have the full 7-day forecast a little later, Michael.
Great, Sally, thank you. Well, it is the most sickening of crimes, abusing our community's most vulnerable and breaching their trust. Next, disturbing allegations against a Western Sydney disabled care worker. Plus, final journey, the body of a police officer killed in that horror crash brought home. Spectacular pictures of what's been dubbed a tumbleweed tornado. Later, meet the dog who thought he was a wombat. The muddy rescue that had tails wagging. And soon in sport, another please explain for Nathan Cleary that could see him suspended for the NRL restart.
You slept with my brother. You covered it up for 20 odd years. And my daughter might be his. You'll always be my daughter, no matter what.
What if he's not my dad?
Home and Away, next week at 7 on 7.
Employees of Budget Direct. Over 20 years, you have become the country's most award-winning insurer, providing top-notch cover for more than 3 million Australians. Will you fight to save people on their car and home insurance?
Proudly saving Australians on insurance for 20 years. Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
I wish I could swim just like a dolphin, like dolphins can swim.
Are you ready to quit smoking? Ready to start tasting again?
Ready to stop coughing? Are you ready to get your breath back? And start saving money? When you quit smoking, things improve quickly. When you quit, you win. Get the top 10 tips to quit successfully at icanquit.com.au or to talk to a qualified counsellor. Call Quitline on 13 78 48.
The Nick Scali Autumn Sale is on now. Save on a great range of quality furniture for a limited time. The Nick Scali Autumn Sale on now.
Oh, hi, sweetie. Hi, Mum.
Mars, enough chocolate to deal with anything.
Oh, it's very good.
I won't always be here to hold you. So I write these words as arms around your shoulders. Welcome to this ever-changing world, where the safe and familiar will tomorrow give way to the unknown. Your world can change in a moment. And when it does, I want you to be like water, to take on any form. Be brave, be strong, never stop trying. Education is at your fingertips. Knowledge is power. I ask that you open your mind to endless possibilities. Never stop learning. I know you will make me proud. The future belongs to you. Love, Mum.
A young Western Sydney disability worker is behind bars tonight, accused of abusing vulnerable people in his care. The Eastern Creek man is facing 16 charges, including making intimate videos of residents and children. Police have labelled his behaviour as disgusting.
His face covered, this is 20-year-old Daniel Namali. The disability worker was arrested in Parramatta yesterday, and the crimes he's accused of committing are despicable.
The victims that we're alleging in this matter are the most vulnerable members of our community.
Namali was working at a care home in Mount Druitt when police paid him a visit on unrelated matters and found shocking videos and images on his phone.
It's good police work in a really bad situation.
Police also raided his family's home.
We've seized a number of items, documents, electronic devices that are currently undergoing analysis.
Namali has been charged with 11 counts of intentionally recording his victims, being in possession of child abuse material, intentionally sexually touching a child under 10, and 2 further counts of common assault. Daniel Namali appeared briefly via video link here at Parramatta Court today. In the same clothes he was arrested in, the magistrate informed him that he'll remain behind bars until his next court date.
This is a significant breach of trust. Very vulnerable members of the community that really rely on those people that are put in the position to care for them, and it's disgusting behaviour.
Daniel Namali has now been stood down from his job and will be confined to a cell at Silverwater Jail until facing a magistrate again on the 14th of May. Peter Fegan, 7 News.
One of the 4 police officers killed in last week's horror freeway crash in Melbourne's tonight making his final journey home to Newcastle. The body of Constable Glenn Humphris was escorted to Albury on the Victorian border, where he was handed over to New South Wales Police. Constable Humphris escorted north with full honours by the police forces of 2 states. He's campaigning to be America's next president, but tonight Joe Biden has been forced into a public denial over allegations of a 3-decade-old sexual assault claim. In his first public comments about it, Biden is emphatic it simply never happened, and he's getting rare support from Donald Trump.
Questioned publicly for the first time.
Would you please go on the record with the American people? Did you sexually assault Tara Reid?
No, it is not true. I'm saying unequivocally, it never happened.
Tara Reid once worked for Joe Biden. She says in 1993 he held her against a wall in a Senate corridor and sexually assaulted her. Speaking out after another woman accused the former VP of unwanted but not sexual touching.
Do you remember any types of complaints that she might have made?
I don't remember any type of complaint she may have made. It was 27 years ago.
Reid says at the time she filed a complaint of sexual harassment but not assault with the Senate. No record has been found. Biden today formally asked the Senate to look again, while standing by former comments that women who complain of sexual assault should be believed.
I'll always uphold that principle. But in the end, in every case, the truth is what matters.
The Trump campaign accuses Biden of double standards. Personally, the president is sympathetic to his opponent.
I've been accused. You probably have too. As soon as you're famous, you get accused. So, I guess in a way you could say I'm sticking up for him.
Lawyers who vetted Biden when he ran alongside Barack Obama say they found nothing on him. Angela Cox, 7 News.
A fuel tank has exploded outside a petrol station in Nigeria, killing at least one person and injuring a dozen more. Witnesses say the tanker flipped over, spilling fuel outside the pumps, erupting when the tanker flipped and fuel ignited. Crews managed to save the service station, keeping flames away from the pumps. Have a look at this. The tumbleweed swept up in what's been dubbed a tumbleweed NATO. An American journalist came across this unique dust devil on a Washington highway, filming it as it swept over him. He did report, however, his van was a little scratched up, but worth the experience. Meanwhile, the Royals celebrated Princess Charlotte's 5th birthday, releasing some new photos taken by mum Kate. The young royal was on the Sandringham estate, where the family helped to pack and deliver food packages for isolated pensioners. Charlotte is 4th in line to the British throne. There have been hints dropped about when restaurants and pubs could reopen with strict rules in place. Up next, how will a night out look when the nightmare's over? Plus, food for thought, the $60 million plan to help overseas students stuck in Australia. We go inside Western Sydney's home of high-tech medical trials, saving lives during the crisis. And underwater treasure, how shipping containers were pulled from the seafloor 2 years after falling overboard. That's next.
Next on 7 Flicks, the unforgettable Finding Dory.
Take a moment to experience bliss. Smooth, melting Lindor from the Lindt Master Chocolatier. Melt into a moment of bliss.
Beat the cold at Harvey Norman with the best in heating and air treatment solutions. Stay warm this winter with our range of ceramic, radiant and fan heaters, convection, column and panel heaters, the latest in gas and electric flame effect models, heated throws and electric blankets, plus a huge range of reverse cycle air conditioners. Treat the air quality in your home with everything from air purifiers to humidifiers. Harvey Norman has all the big brands at great prices. Visit us in store or online. Harvey Norman, your heating and air treatment specialist.
Go! Look at me. I'm a nun. I'm a penguin.
Whether you're looking for sassy nuns, shouting Huns, or massive guns.
Jeez.
There's a bit of Disney Plus in all of us.
Bella Rosa, the new fragrance for her. By Oscar de la Renta.
At Allianz, we're offering a range of practical support measures for our current eligible small business customers experiencing financial hardship due to the COVID-19 pandemic, like premium payment deferrals for up to 6 months on eligible policies. And if your business premises are unoccupied because of COVID-19, we'll maintain your cover. We're committed to supporting your business now and into the future, because our support doesn't stop here. Search Allianz or contact your broker to see if you qualify.
No matter where it comes from, a lot of great food has one thing in common. Farmers Union Greek-style yogurt.
Make anything zing! If you're a small business, you've probably got a lot of questions right now, which is why you should speak to a professional accountant who's trained in planning and cash flow management strategies. For further support, contact a professional accountant today.
The series that defined a generation is back.
Not the world, Joey. I'm a teenager.
Binge season after season.
I don't want to lose you.
Things change, Dawson.
Dawson's Creek, streaming for free on 7+.
Returning to some vision, we had a few technical issues earlier, and one of the 4 police officers killed in last week's horror freeway crash in Melbourne is tonight making his final journey home to Newcastle. The body of Constable Glenn Humphris was escorted to Albury on the Victoria border, where he was handed over to the New South Wales Police. Constable Humphris escorted north with full honours by the police forces of 2 states. Frightening pictures have emerged of a violent rampage inside a shopping centre as fly-in, fly-out workers stabbed 7 people in Western Australia, just 1 worker. When a taser didn't stop him, police shot 3 times as terrified staff and shoppers took cover.
Come in the back, come in the back. Stop, guys, come in.
The attacker died at the scene. 5 people were sent to hospital. 1 is in a critical condition. The state opposition's calling on the government to give one-off payments to international students who are ineligible for assistance and cannot return home. Every day, thousands of young are lining city streets queuing for free meals as they struggle to make ends meet during the lockdown.
Their hunger for knowledge has been replaced by old-fashioned hunger. Students here on visas ineligible for government assistance.
No working, yeah.
And what are you lining up for now?
For food. Pay for it.
We try to find a job, but it's nothing open.
We don't have the job at the moment, but it's still the paid for the school.
This Thai restaurant is part of a chain, the family owners donating the food and staff to provide free meals for students.
Like there's a lot of them that can't get government help either, so they're here on student visa and they can't work, they can't provide for themselves.
Of the nearly 600,000 international students in Australia, more than half are in New South Wales. The argument in support of providing assistance to students is that all of the money they are paid will be spent on essentials here, such as food and accommodation. The opposition is calling for a $60 million program to give students an emergency $1,100 payment.
We are leaving them behind and we are doing nothing. And I think that is just shameful. The world is watching us.
With more turning up every day, some will surely have to be turned away. I see the last meal was just served. What about the people still waiting?
If they're willing to wait, we are making some more for them. Just like last week, maybe we're making about 50 meals more.
The state government is yet to announce any plans to help students and temporary visa holders. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
While many scientists are frantically working on a COVID vaccination, a group of Sydney researchers is focusing instead on cancer detection. For the first time, we can take you inside the Camperdown facility, adapting their capabilities to ensure access to a life-saving screening drug is not disrupted during the crisis.
In Sydney's inner west, one of the country's nuclear research reactors, home to high-tech medical trials and some of our brightest minds.
Anything new and novel in the world of radiopharmaceuticals, we like to get involved in.
But the facility is now pivoting from research to supply, responding to calls from doctors who fear we could face shortages of critical cancer screening drugs after a Darwin hospital was unable to access FDG, a radioactive tracer that detects cancer due to COVID-19 border shutdowns.
So in the case of Darwin, they couldn't get their normal FDG supply from South Australia. The flight from South Australia didn't exist anymore, however there were flights out of Sydney and Brisbane.
Australia's Nuclear Science and Technology Organisation is now in the process of getting TGA approval to produce the drug to provide a future Plan B. FDG isn't the only drug facing shortages should COVID-19 force another round of drastic border closures. So researchers are having to consider a variety of precautionary measures.
In the therapies, most of our supply comes from Europe or Asia, and we're seeing those supply chains being severely disrupted.
Researchers and the government now racing to secure air freight options and peace of mind for both doctors and patients. Amber Laidler, 7 News.
Hospitality's been hit harder than most by COVID-19, but a task force is already plotting the industry's way out of the crisis. The bold plan could see your local pub or hotel operate more like a cafe.
Steve Schroeder is like thousands of publicans across the country. His business is on life support.
Gone from everything to zero, so it doesn't get much tougher.
But under a government-led task force, pubs and clubs could reopen as early as July and operate more like cafes.
Oh, early's great. I mean, as soon as they can and as soon as it's safe to do so, it'd be fantastic.
Strict operating rules would need to be enforced, such as table service instead of queuing at the bar, reduced dining room capacity and switching every second poker machine off to keep gamblers at least 1.5 metres apart.
Having some line of sight again on a reopening will really help the industry to be able to plan and see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Temperature testing patrons as they arrive could also become mandatory.
We'd adapt to that, and there's some new systems where you can order at the table and dispense to the table, so cashless transactions.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison says National Cabinet will review all restrictions, including pubs and clubs, on Friday.
CUB, the biggest brewery in Australia, is doing its best to keep struggling pubs afloat during the pandemic with a Pay It Forward campaign called Love of Your Local.
So if you buy one today, that cash goes immediately to the pub, and then when they reopen, you go in and you get that pint that you bought, and CUB will match it with a second one for free.
Tom Chadwick, 7 News.
TVs, furniture and two expensive Chevrolet dual cab utes are among items recovered in the search for dozens of shipping containers lost off Newcastle. Divers and an underwater robot have been searching 25 kilometres off the coast to retrieve 63 containers which spilled from the merchant vessel Efficiency in high seas. That was in 2018. It's estimated the operation costs about $15 million, with authorities pursuing the ship's Taiwanese owner to pay for the clean-up. Artists are using empty streets as a canvas to reflect on these strange times. Next, the remarkable work helping us remember the big picture. Plus the future in motion, commercial space travel just around the corner. See Virgin's space plane take flight. Our rescuers dug deep to save a beloved pet lab from some muddy waters.
And those gusty winds kept us shivering today. The forecast soon.
Very occasionally, someone comes onto the stage and you think they are born to be a superstar.
Took a job in the city.
Her voice will have the entire audience on their feet.
Absolutely brilliant.
The truly unforgettable performance.
Incredible.
We're celebrating the extraordinary.
This is what the world has been waiting for.
Brand new, Britain's Got Talent, Wednesday 7:30 on 7.
I'd like a bar of chocolate, please.
Your change.
Happy birthday, Mum.
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
With McDelivery, Macca's comes to you contact-free. This weekend, get free delivery on orders $25 or more via the Uber Eats app with promo code MACCASFAN.
Upload's that way, OR's the other way. What do you want to do?
Upload.
Anytime you need me, I'll be here for you.
In-app purchase required.
I'm not even supposed to be here.
You think I wanted to fall into the Grand Canyon?
I saw that video. You dabbed on the way down.
That's how you get the lights.
Their doors might be closing, but they're always open on eBay. Stay home, shop online, and help support 40,000 Aussie retailers.
It's more important than ever to stay close. And you can, with unlimited standard calls for eligible pensioners to local, national and Australian mobiles from a Telstra home phone.
Make your home a sanctuary with distinctive luxury homewares up to 75% off. With Canning Bell's Luxury for Less sale. Shop online with code FREE for fast free shipping and a 100-day home trial. Limited time only. CanningBell.com.
NRMA Insurance has always been committed to helping Australians. And while you're at home during this time, our customer care team remains on hand, continuing to help. as we always will.
It's a difficult time for Aussie families right now. And this is true of our Subway family too. We can't change what's happening, but we can bring you a little something fresh, tasty and Australian grown to take your mind off things. And when we do, you'll know that your family is helping Aussie farmers, local communities and one of the thousands of small business owners across Australia. So thank you, from our family to yours.
Communities are being invited to apply for grants of up to $10,000 to conserve and protect war memorials across New South Wales. Funds can be requested for specialist heritage advice as well as physical conservation work on halls, honour rolls, avenues of trees and stone monuments. Those applications close in July. While most flights are grounded around the world, Virgin Galactic has moved a step closer to commercial space travel with the first unpowered glide flight over its futuristic base in the New Mexico desert. The spacecraft will carry 6 passengers and is designed to hitch a ride aboard another plane into high altitude before its rockets kick in and blasts into space. More than 600 people around the world have already paid a deposit for space flights, with tickets expected to cost around $380,000. The first passenger flight could happen later this year. While countries around the world have been in lockdown, one group's been busy: street artists creating powerful, poignant and sometimes political creations, documenting these extraordinary times.
David Speed says the feeling was like being handcuffed, stuck at home, helpless, as a health crisis unfolded.
My mum called me and she was like, when are you going to paint something for the NHS? And I was like, I don't think it's a good idea.
But Mum persisted, so David set up a fence and created this. The next day, he received a message from a nurse who'd walked past on her way to work.
She said as soon as she saw it, she kind of burst into tears, and just getting that one DM made the whole painting worth it. So I'm glad I did listen to my mum.
COVID-19 has emptied city streets globally, creating the ultimate canvas. From central London to LA, images depicting our admiration and thanks, our anxieties and behaviours. There's political messages and some designed just to give people a laugh.
It's literally the maddest thing I've ever heard anyone say, ever. I was like, that's got to be done. Someone's got to do that. I just thought, drinking a pint of bleach.
Dave Nash says he couldn't resist the opportunity. The US president, now in his backyard, a tribute to health workers out the front.
Just put a smile on someone's face for a little while.
Like millions of people across so many industries, many artists have lost the majority of their income, but they know these days will pass, and what they do have for now is the time to be creative.
It's the maddest year of my life so far, isn't it? Yeah, what's going to happen next? Godzilla or something? You can't predict it now.
But they can paint it. In London, Sarah Greenhalgh, 7 News.
A curious pet and one extraordinary rescue. Coming up, how Blackie the Labrador ended up so very stuck and the MacGyver-style mission to pull him from the mud. Don't miss those pictures soon here on 7 News. But first, Jim Wilson's here with Sport. Jim, good evening to you.
G'day, Michael.
Nathan Cleary faces a nervous wait.
He does, Michael. Coming up, the Panthers star has been put on notice by the NRL over his flouting of social distancing laws. Also ahead, we'll hear exclusively from our 2 captains who've put Australia back on top of the cricket world. And we've got big news around the AFL's planned restart and what it means for Sydney's teams. That's next.
You're right there for every heart-pounding emergency.
That's the biggest damn fire I've seen.
New 911, Monday on 7.
It's more important than ever to stay close. And you can, with unlimited standard calls for eligible pensioners to local, national and Australian mobiles from a Telstra home phone.
So how do they pack so much lusciousness into something so cute?
Clever Joel's squeeze luscious fruity flavour in, then 99% of the sugar out.
Clever Joel's.
The Nick Scali Autumn Sale is on now. Save on a great range of quality furniture for a limited time. The Nick Scali Autumn Sale on now.
Right now, knowing where you stand financially is more important than ever.
But with so many different benefits, rebates and concessions,
It can be confusing.
That's why there's Benefits Finder in your CommBank app. In seconds, we can help you find the benefits you may be eligible for.
It's just one of the ways we're doing more things for more people. Together.
Introducing Voltaren Osteo Gel 12-hourly. With just 2 applications a day, it gives you joint pain relief for the whole day and all night. Next time, why not try Voltaren Osteo Gel 12-hourly?
While we're all apart, it's good to remember that something as simple as g'day
Oh, g'day!
G'day, matey. G'day, babe. How are you?
can make the world of difference.
You really learn in times like this what you take for granted.
It lets those you care about know they're not alone.
Wilson!
We are part of this group. We are all in this together.
Hang in there, my love.
So whether it's your oldest mate, a work friend, your granddad, mum, or cousin twice removed, keep in touch.
Say g'day. You'll feel better for it, and I promise you they will. Give it a go, eh?
What he said. Let's keep connected, Australia.
Truck. It's not the end of the world.
What the truck?
It's the brand new season.
Good truck and fun.
New Outback Truckers, Tuesday on Mate.
Tonight at 7, when and where the next restrictions will ease your COVID countdown, and a human guinea pig from a leading vaccine trial joins us. That's the latest from 7 News.
Welcome back, everyone. Panthers star Nathan Cleary has been asked for a please explain from the NRL after he ignored social distancing laws. The NRL has issued a breach notice and given Cleary 5 days to respond. He faces a nervous wait and may be suspended for the NRL restart after his posts on social media. And as we reported earlier, the Warriors have been given the go-ahead to fly here tomorrow. They'll be based in Tamworth for 14 days in quarantine and have been given approval to train.
Our hearts are in the right spot, and we're doing the right thing by our families, but equally balancing out to do the right thing for the game of rugby league.
The NRL is hopeful the Storm will be allowed to train in Melbourne, but initially may be forced to relocate across the border ahead of the May 28 restart. There are some major developments tonight in the AFL's quest to restart its season. All 18 clubs met today via telephone hookup, and a resumption is looking likely in mid to late June. The isolation hubs almost certainly won't be required as state governments relax border controls. It means Sydney's 2 teams, the Giants and the Swans, will play their home games at Giants Stadium and the SCG. AFL Chief Gil McLachlan says he wants the season to be complete by late October. Our captains of the men's Test and 2020 teams have spoken of their pride after becoming the world's #1 sides. Aaron Finch and Tim Payne have turned around what was a sinking ship to be now on top of the world rankings in both forms of the game.
Tim Payne has climbed to the top in world sport. Now he's taken on an ambassador role with the Beacon Foundation to help young Australians in challenging times.
An opportunity for me to sort of give back to help, I suppose, Australian teenagers, tell them my story and try and inspire them to chase their dreams.
Speaking exclusively on Sunrise, the Aussie Test captain couldn't be prouder after ending India's 4.5-year reign at the top.
Obviously, we're really proud of it, very pumped with that news. As you said, a lot of people, not just myself and Justin, we've had a hell of a lot of people put a lot of work in over the last couple of years.
But there's no room for complacency, with India scheduled to tour Australia this summer and the Test Championship to be decided next year.
So we'd love to be at Lords at some stage playing in that final. That's the main goal for our team.
There's been a huge culture change in the Aussie camp, and it's clearly paying off, going to #1 in the world for the first time in 2020 cricket.
Players being really accountable to the standards and the culture is really important and something that we've all worked really hard towards.
Aaron Finch has guided the Aussies to 9 wins in their last 10 T20s, hoping that carries into the World Cup if it goes ahead in October.
We're in a really good place, and it's obviously a trophy that's eluded us for a long time now, and that's the one that we don't have in our cabinet. So I think just that fire to get that trophy, I think we're in a really good space.
Tim Hipsley, 7 News.
Olympic swimming champion Kyle Chalmers is back in the pool and has welcomed the extra time to prepare for a gold medal defence in Tokyo. Chalmers stormed a victory in Rio, and despite some serious health issues since 2016, he says he's in the best shape of his life. Back in familiar territory, but with strict biosecurity measures. Temperature checks, hand sanitisers on the way into the pool, then training in separate lanes. An Olympic champion in a very new world.
We're all so grateful and so lucky to have the opportunity to be back in the pool, that we're doing whatever we can to make sure we can stay in it for as long as we can.
Kyle Chalmers has battled a heart condition and multiple operations. It has to be constantly monitored, but right now his health is good and the game's postponement has worked in his favour.
I don't see it as being wasted at all. I think I've got such a good opportunity now to be in even better shape, or there's a few areas I really want to improve on over the next 12 months.
He'll juggle training between Adelaide's main swim centre and a makeshift setup at home. He's turning a shipping container into a pool in his backyard.
With a huge jet on at the front of it, so I just swim against the jet, so I'll definitely get a fair bit of use out of it.
Another Olympic gold medalist is following Chalmers' lead. Unable to train in an Olympic pool in Brisbane due to government restrictions, Kate Campbell put out an urgent request to locals in her Brisbane suburb, and a neighbour has come to the rescue.
I've very, very kindly been allowed the use of a backyard swimming pool just up the road, and I tie myself to a fence post and I swim in it for, 45 minutes.
Kate has only just moved into the house and had never met her kind neighbours. It's been a sensational day for champion jockey Hugh Bowman on the Kensington track at Randwick. Starting with Yonkers in the second, he rode 5 winners, all for different trainers. Dirty Work in the 5th, then Rocker Clock in race 6. He thought Hightail should have won by more in the 7th.
There's a 4-timer for Bowman.
Well, he was, but I just tried to be smart and get behind the favourite, and it didn't work out.
Good stuff, Huey. Bowman won again with face toss in race 8. He had the favourite Juventus in the last, but was denied a 6th win of the day by Glenn Boss, and $13 shot Wild About Her. And here's a sign of the times we're in. An eerily quiet and empty Churchill Downs, which normally heaves with 150,000 people for the Kentucky Derby on the first Saturday of May. They've held the Run to the Roses there every year since 1875, but this year it's been postponed. They're hoping the 146th Derby can be run in September instead. So fingers crossed for that, Michael. And tell you what, tomorrow, all eyes on Tamworth and the arrival of the Warriors. Will be access all areas. We'll have Michelle Bishop, our chief leg reporter, on the ground there. They're due to arrive at 4 o'clock, and the latest on 7 News tomorrow night.
All over it, Jim. Thank you.
OK.
An adventurous Labrador is tonight back with his family, reunited after an extraordinary rescue mission. Blackie found himself stuck after burrowing into a wombat hole.
Overcome with relief.
Good boy, Blackie. Thank you, guys. God bless you. You saved our dog.
Trapped for 3 hours, Blackie was reunited with his family.
Never lose hope, and I'm so grateful for the endurance and the stamina.
The 5-year-old Labrador became stuck down a wombat hole around 200 metres away from his family's home.
He's down there on the side of a very steep hill and about 4 metres in.
More than a dozen firefighters dug in the dark through waist-deep mud, trying to reach him. His family was worried the hole would collapse and feared Blackie wouldn't make it out alive.
As the mud was coming out, we just kept levelling the area so we had somewhere to stand.
A lasso made from pipe, some duct tape and rope finally saved him.
They put that in his head and then encouraged him to come out and pulled him out with this.
The conditions last night were quite similar to this. It was raining and around 5 degrees, but Blackie's rescuers never gave up.
You're heroes.
You're heroes.
Thank you. You're heroes. Heroes. Thank you for saving our dog.
Melina Saris, 7 News.
Now Sally's back, and Sal, is the cold snap here to stay?
Michael, those brutally cold winds should ease tonight. I'll have Sydney's 7-day forecast next.
They're the dream family.
We live in our house with our 3 kids. Family's everything for us.
Missing one thing.
Being on one income, money's tight.
Their dream home.
Are you guys excited? Should we go and look at our new house?
Yeah. Until now.
All right, should we go in, guys?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
family-sized whole house reveal.
I'm so overwhelmed.
Wait till you see what they're seeing.
You don't even recognise it, do you?
The ultimate family home.
I've never had this much storage ever.
Oh.
It's the best room I've ever seen in my life.
The heartwarming transformation.
You okay?
It's so beautiful.
That will complete this family.
What's wrong?
I want to cry.
Oh, I'm crying because Mummy's so happy. Oh. Wow.
Just wait till you see inside.
Do you guys love our new family home?
Yeah!
House Rules, only on 7. The Whole House Reveal, Sunday at 7.
Why don't you come? Why don't you come? The pleasure's all mine, never getting old. If you're looking for me, I'll be dancing in my own way.
Home. It's not just a place we're stuck in. It's home-cooked meals, home workouts, homeschooling, working from home, home movie nights, and movie days. It's see you when I get home. Your home means more than ever, and so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
Telstra's smart modem cleverly switches Wi-Fi frequencies when you're further away for a strong connection to maximise your range. Experience better Wi-Fi with Telstra.
Because sometimes it's more than just growing pains. Bupa offers an online program to help you manage your mental well-being. Bupa, because life happens. Call today.
At Macca's, cleanliness is our priority, ensuring we keep our team and the community safe. You can still get your favourites and essential items contact-free. Thanks to all our teams across Australia, we'll be here.
At Chemist Warehouse, we'll always have the biggest brands at the lowest prices. So to make it more convenient for you, try our new same-day home delivery service. Simply order online through Click and Collect, call your local store to ask for home delivery, and our team will have your order delivered that day. Get your favourite big brands at the lowest prices from Chemist Warehouse with contact-free home delivery from our house to yours.
Everyone is wondering, what will our world be like after COVID? Shopping, movies, dining out. We investigate how everyday life will be changing. The survival guide for job seeker and job keeper, where job opportunities are popping up. Plus, the affordable innovations making working from home easier. And as the new day breaks, the breaking news.
Live to our team of reporters now.
The critical announcements are on Sunrise.
Tonight at 7, pubs and gyms told to prepare to reopen your post-COVID calendar, and the pandemic property market. We take you to a virtual auction. That's the latest from 7 News.
This weather report brought to you by Chemist Warehouse. Contact-free home delivery now available. Shop online or in-store today.
Tonight's 7 News headlines. The Anglicare boss has admitted infection controls failed at Newmarch House. Stamp duty is set to be scrapped in a bid to boost the state's housing market. Just in, the video that North Korea says is proof Kim Jong-un is alive. And Sydney's enjoying its first Saturday night of relaxed restrictions. Now, Sally's back with the weather, and Sally, it's going to warm up.
Yeah, it sure is, Michael. We shivered our way through today, though, thanks to those dry, cold, gusty winds. Conditions feeling around 8 degrees cooler than what the Mercury said, thanks to that wind chill factor. Let's have a look. Today, we did reach a top of 18.7 degrees in the city after a low just a touch under 13 degrees very early this morning. Across Sydney, temperatures felt considerably cooler thanks to those dry, gusty winds. 19 degrees at Manly and 18 degrees at Camden. Now, the low on the Tasman is still whipping up some powerful winds. Showers showers and also alpine snow in Tasmania, South Australia, Victoria and New South Wales, and really directing that cool air right across central parts of the country too. Tomorrow we'll have some onshore winds just from a high, start to drive a few showers just into the southeastern corner of the country and also northeastern parts of New South Wales. We'll also see a few more showers and storms across the northern parts of Queensland. Around the capitals tomorrow, Brisbane sunny and 25 degrees, Canberra 15 degrees and similar into Melbourne as well, a top of 13 degrees in Hobart, Adelaide heading for a top of 17 degrees, maybe just a few showers, and it will be a warm one in Perth with a top of 29 degrees. A closer look across the state tomorrow when sunshine is the story for most of us. 20 degrees expected into Coffs, it'll be 15 degrees in Dubbo, and some more snow is forecast across Thurbo after a very good dumping there, heading for a top of just 2 degrees, -3 overnight. Sydney suburbs should be slightly warmer tomorrow. We've got light southwesterly winds. It'll be 18 degrees along the coast, a little bit warmer in our west, 20 degrees at Liverpool and 19 degrees at Blacktown with fairly sunny skies. Hazardous surf is forecast tomorrow for Sydney's coastal areas with a pretty decent 4-metre swell. The city this evening will drop to 11 degrees tonight. We're heading for a top of 20 degrees tomorrow. Looking ahead, sunny and 20 degrees with a slight chance of a shower on Tuesday, warming up to 23 degrees on Wednesday, top of 25 on Thursday, and then 27 degrees by the end of the week. So if you don't enjoy today's cold weather, rest assured it'll basically feel like summer by the end of next week,
That's
Michael.
looking pretty good. All right, Sally, thank you for that. And that is 7 News for this Saturday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening. The latest is next and sunrise from 7 a.m. I'm Michael Usher from all the team here. Thank you so much for your company. Have a great Saturday night.